What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? Thank y'all for joining another episode of No Huddle with me, Jeremy, and my guy Hassan, man. Hey, I'm feeling a little under the weather, so my voice may go in and out. So I may just go ahead and shift it to my boy, let him kind of bring us in a little bit, cause I want to use my voice when it matters. So hey, man, what you got
Good.
for us, bro?
Hey, what's going on, party people in the place to be? It's Hassan the African. Appreciate y'all joining us for another episode of No Huddle. Jeremy and Hassan. I'm gonna have to carry the load. I mean, more so than I normally do, but it's all good. Wish you a speedy recovery, my guy.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. But yeah, so we, like I said, we welcome y'all to another episode of No Huddle, No Huddle with Jeremy and Hassan. Don't forget, go to YouTube right now, subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365. Don't forget, tell everybody, man. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your Wolverine if you have one, because Michigan did a thing today, So, I'm just happy, why I'm happy, but hey. Michigan, appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for holding it down for you, boy. But yeah, so definitely comment, like, share these videos, man. We appreciate the interaction. Let us know you're in the building so we can shout you out. We got some great topics lined up for y'all today. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it, man. I think y'all gonna really love these topics. So definitely let us know what y'all thinking in the comment box. We appreciate it. So we're gonna go ahead and get going. And the first topic will be, which QB is holding their team back the most this season? Hey man, who you say?
Hey, man, it was between two quarterbacks.
Okay.
Daniel Jones of the Giants and Zach Wilson of the Jets, both teams in New York. However, I have to go with Zach Wilson. My logic for that, both teams are surprisingly doing well. But out of the two, I feel like the Jets have a championship caliber defense.
Yeah.
The Giants, they're playing with house money in the sense of they're overperforming expectations. Of course, the Jets are doing the same. However, when I look at the Giants overall, there's nothing about them that wows me outside of Saquon Barkley. But when I look at the Jets and their defense,
Right.
defense wins championships, and their defense is championship caliber.
Yeah.
So they should, and then also if you look at the divisions, the NFC East, I mean, you have basically like a dogfight. But if you look at the AFC East, yes, you have the Bills, but all the other teams are underperforming or aren't scary. Yes, you have no disrespect to the Dolphins, but there's nothing about the Dolphins that screams championship to me. They're just playing well.
Right.
But again, when you have a championship caliber defense, you need your quarterback to at least be serviceable. And these two quarterbacks I mentioned, they're not serviceable at all. It's not like a 2001 Raiders or Ravens defense, excuse me, where you just needed a replacement level quarterback. They're not even at replacement level. So I would say for me, Zach Wilson is definitely holding back the Jets a whole lot more than other quarterbacks are holding back their teams.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Zach Wilson just got benched, and I think Mike White will be starting.
Right.
And hopefully he could be a little bit better. I think he can be a little bit better than Zach Wilson, because he actually has more like it's almost like, yes, we know Zach Wilson is the most known quarterback,
Right.
but sometimes a quarterback can bring more like confidence in the team and more explosiveness to the team. And I think Mike White, he has played for the Jets and had some good moments.
Right.
So I feel like he could pick up and hopefully take this team and win some games. Like I said, they can only go as far as their defense can take them. They my Super Bowl, my AFC representative in the Super Bowl. So I may change on that because you know what I'm saying, like, you need a quarterback, but at the same time,
Basically.
I do like the Jets defense. And like you said, Daniel Jones, yes, the Giants could be performing on a different level if they had a better quarterback. We all know Daniel Jones. I didn't even see him going that high in the draft. But we know that because it's his connections with the Mannings, especially Eli Manning. I think that's what helped him get that job with the Giants. But
Right.
I got a different guy. Because this guy, I believe that this team should be playing better, way better than they are. They have the talent, but the quarterback is holding them back, and it's Kyler Murray for me. You look at his stats. You look
Ooh.
at Kyler Murray's stats: 2,168 passing yards this season, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 359 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 fumbles. 2 of those fumbles were actually lost. They 4-7, third in the NFC West. Um, Arizona has given him enough talent. I mean, you got Marquise Brown, who you traded for, or did they get him in the free agency?
Marquise Brown. Now they traded for him. You were correct.
Traded for Marquise Brown.
Mhm. Yeah.
You traded for Robbie Anderson, and then
Mhm.
you have DeAndre Hopkins. Now we do know he did miss 6 games this
And they
season,
traded for Zach Ertz. That's true.
and Zach Ertz. So he did miss 6 games this season, but I mean you force feeding DeAndre Hopkins right now, and you're trying to at least make up for that time. But at the same time, you have had Marquise Brown, you had Zach Ertz, you had what's his name? Well, Robbie Anderson, you traded him before the trade deadline. But I
Mhm.
just felt like you had enough talent, enough to at least win some more games. He Colin Murray, since he's been in the league, he hasn't really shown any progression. Like I haven't seen him take a step forward, like we have seen Lamar Jackson or well, I have seen Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts. We've seen him take a step forward. I have yet to see Kyler Murray take a step forward since he's been in the league in 2019. I looked at the rankings for the passing leaders this year. He's
Mhm.
currently ranked number 17, but here are some notable quarterbacks who we think coming into the season he was better than. Number 7, Geno Smith. Geno Smith is ranked number 7 in the passing this year
Mhm.
currently. Number 8, Kirk Cousins. We all
Right.
felt like Kyler Murray was better than Kirk Cousins. We also felt like Kyler Murray was better than Matt Ryan, who's ranked number 9 right now. Jared Goff, who's ranked number 10. Derek Carr, who's ranked number 11. Jalen Hurts, who's actually ranked number 12. Now, we do know Jalen Hurts has taken that step forward, but coming into the season, nobody
Right.
expected Jalen Hurts to be better than Kyler Murray, especially
Right.
with the weapons that Kyler Murray do have. And yes, Jalen Hurts has weapons, but nobody expected him to play on this level. Number 13, Jacoby Brissett, who's just holding the spot for Deshaun Watson.
Basically.
Nobody expected him to be better than Kyler Murray. Number 14, Trevor Lawrence. And number 15, Tua Tagovailoa is actually playing better than Kyler Murray. Now, he does have more weapons, but at the same time, coming into the season, Kyler Murray was better than these quarterbacks. And he's not showing that. He has yet to show that. And last point, uh, since he's been in the league since 2019, he haven't really taken the Cardinals anywhere. This year, currently, he's third in the NFC East in the NFC West. And like I said, they're 4-7. In 2021, last year, they were third in the NFC by the end of the season. We all know they started off that season 8-0. And then next thing you know, they took a dive for the worst and ended that season 10-7. I think they didn't even make the playoffs.
They didn't.
In 2020, they were third in the NFC West with 8-8 record. And then in 2019, we all do know he didn't really have a team. He was said to be the superhero, the savior for the Arizona Cardinals as they rebuild, and they did end the season 5-10-1. But I don't charge that to him. But they were fourth in the division. So since he's been in the league with the Arizona Cardinals, his best year was 2021, and they started off hot, and then they ended the season, probably the worst team in the NFL. So for me, he has never taken that step forward, especially where you were drafted. You were drafted number 1 overall. So I expect as a quarterback, when you come in as number 1 player, you need to show me something. He haven't did anything for the Cardinals. So for me, it's Kyler Murray.
I respect the pick. I guess my only pushback would be, well, I can see where you're saying he's holding that team back because he is. His play
Yes.
has not been. He has not consistently performed at a level to complement the offensive pieces and the defensive pieces. Because I mean, again, they got J.J. Watt. They had
Yes.
Chandler Jones before he was traded. They've
Mm-hmm.
had pieces.
Yep.
and on both sides of the ball. And they've had stretches where they've won a series of games only to then
You got Buda Baker as
lose.
well on the other side.
Right. Um, but humor me if you will. So looking at Zach Wilson's stats and his win-loss record since he's been a quarterback.
Right.
He currently has a win-loss record of 8-12 since he's been in the league. And for his career, he's, even though it's two seasons, his completion percentage is 55.6. He's currently sitting with 1,279 passing yards
Correct.
with 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Yep.
With that defense in a more compromised AFC East.
Right.
Because, again, going into the season, people would have thought, okay, if you would have told me that the two teams fighting for fighting for the division would be the Bills, okay, most people would have said, okay, fine.
Right.
But it's the Bills and the Dolphins.
Yes.
And honestly, neither team is running away with the division because for right now, the Bills, for whatever reason, they're having struggles and it's not as clear cut. So it's essentially the Bills by default and then the rest of the field. And I feel like if you would have given me even a service level, like middle of the road quarterback, let's say Matt Ryan went to the Jets instead of to Indianapolis.
Yes.
I honestly feel like this team would be better along.
I think
he's the second overall pick.
Right.
And a lot of people fell in love with his intangibles and with his size, even though he's a shade under 6'3" and he's about 215, 220.
Right.
I'm not seeing a Justin Herbert or Josh Allen here, right? But for whatever reason, they love this kid. And what has he done to produce?
Right. I mean, for me,
at least with Kyler Murray, he's giving you in stretches Pro Bowl level quarterback play.
Right.
Even if he hasn't been consistent.
Right.
When has it been for like either you or I where we've gone into a season or we've gone through a stretch of games and we're like, ooh, Zach Wilson, like I'm playing checker for him.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when you say which quarterback is holding their team back the most, I never had expectations for Zach Wilson. I have expectations for Kyler Murray because you have talent. This is the year that the Arizona Cardinals said, hey, we're going to go out here. Now you have no excuse. Zach Wilson, we all know that really what helped them win early in the season was Breece Hall, the running back, the rookie running back, and their defense. Nobody expected Zach Wilson to even, nobody even expected the Jets to be where they're at. But nobody even said, you know what, if Zach Wilson can play better, we can win games. I didn't expect that. As long as they had Breece Hall running the rock, I was like, hey, the Jets got a chance because now they can own the time of possession and their defense can go out there and, make some stops. And so for me, that's how they were winning. And that's what made me excited about the Jets. But then when you lost Breece Hall, yes, you did bring in James Robinson. However, the offense haven't been as explosive as they were when they had Breece Hall. And so now Zach Wilson has to, step up and take this team to another level, this offense, and he can't. So when the defense can't make the stops, Zach Wilson can't deliver. And I think they just played the Patriots over the Thanksgiving break. And we saw what happened, So for me, it was the expectations that I have for Kyler Murray to take this team to another level. They're currently 4-7, and in that division, in the NFC West, it's not the NFC West that we're used to. Right now, you got Seattle winning that division, and then San Francisco right behind them. And the Rams aren't playing up to to standard due to injuries and all that good stuff and losses of key players. But the Cardinals, this is supposed to be your year. You brought in Marquise Brown, who you played with in college. You had DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, he was suspended for 6 games, but he's back now. And then, you brought in Robbie Anderson. So when is Kyler Murray actually going to have a year where we say, man, Kyler Murray took that step forward, and he haven't. In my opinion, he haven't yet. Yes, in 2019, he did win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but who else was he competing with? Wasn't much talent. Daniel Jones was in that draft. It was some other quarterbacks that just, it wasn't no offensive talent. So Kyler Murray was supposed to be the number one offensive talent that year. But other than that, he really haven't did anything in the NFL since he's been with the Arizona Cardinals. So yeah, so for me, he's holding the Cardinals back because they at least supposed to be a playoff team right now, and right now it doesn't even look like they're gonna make the playoffs.
I hear you. I guess for me, the bigger issue is if they had a better coaching staff, I could give
Mm-hmm.
you that. Because I think it's with them it's 1A 1B. I feel like the ineptitude of the Cardinals coaching staff, specifically Cliff Kingsbury, he should be coaching in college.
Right, but the
That's
thing
all.
about it, they brought in the coach to I guess
Maximize,
to
right,
maximize Kyler Murray. So
right,
like they brought
mhm,
this coach in for you, and it's
right,
and I wasn't a believer in in Cliff Kingsbury coming to the NFL because a lot of times we try to hype these college coaches up thinking that it can translate into the NFL, and it doesn't.
right,
Look at Chip Kelly. Yes, Chip Kelly has some times, but for the most part, it didn't work.
right.
In the NFL as much as it should have. Like
Yeah.
he had his times, but that was it. So anytime you bringing these college coaches up, especially with no experience in the NFL, when you have so many, excuse me, when you have so many other coaches that are more qualified for
Right, more
positions,
deserving, right.
especially black coaches, they
That part.
a black coach can't come from the college and go straight into a head coaching position, but a white
Absolutely not.
coach can if he
Exactly.
dominates in college, and he ain't even got to win a championship because
Right.
Kingsbury never won a championship,
Never was
but he
in
can get a
competition.
job in the
Right.
NFL because he can help Kyler Murray. He can make plays that can fit with Kyler Murray, and it
Right,
hasn't
and
worked.
this air raid, blah blah blah. But
Right.
the reason I bring that up is going back to the Jets. A lot of people have credited Robert Salah with the job that he's done with the Jets, and even prior to the Jets with the 49ers and their defense over those years, even though D'Amico Ryans, I believe, is the defensive coordinator for the Niners, but he was under Robert Salah. So
Correct.
I'm saying all that to say I can potentially find an argument or a pass to give Kyler because of the ineptitude of his coaching staff. But I can't really do that for Zach Wilson because they've given you at least some talent. Robbie Anderson was with the Jets before he went to other teams. You've had other options that were there. They even brought in Brees Hall, like you said. They've done all of these things and they've even brought in a seasoned veteran coach. Even though, granted,
Didn't they also draft Garrett Wilson?
they brought in talent.
Right.
They've invested in draft picks. They've invested in free agency. They have the coaching infrastructure in place. You're in the market. You're in. You know what I mean. So, what is it? The only part of the Jets where you're like, oh man, this doesn't work is quarterback, and it's been this way since Zach Wilson has been in the league. And okay, fine, Kyler. I believe Kyler was drafted a season before him, maybe two. So he's
Yeah,
been
he's
here
been in the league for 4 years.
right. So he's been in the league for 4 years, and Zach is, I believe, going into currently in his third year, or he might be in his second
Right.
year.
This is second. This should be his second year, I think.
Okay, so yeah, so Kyler Murray has been in the league twice as long, but he's had the same essentially coaching staff,
Yeah.
and the NFL is a little different, as we both know, than most professional sports. Coaching matters so much in the league,
Yeah.
and I would argue that part of what you're seeing, the deficiencies in Kyler Murray, are further worsened by the ineptitude of his coach. Case in point, Trevor Lawrence last year with Urban Meyer. I would say this is just another kind of iteration of it, because when you look at the Arizona Cardinals, they find ways to beat themselves. That's not all personnel, that's coaching. And it looks like from the eye test, that team doesn't really. Cliff Kingsbury has seemed to lost that locker room.
Yeah, he definitely lost a lot on him.
They're tuning him out. They're just like, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't see that with the Jets, even last year when they were in every game. Another team that looks similar to the way the Jets looked last year, the Detroit Lions. Or even the Titans before they started this recent run of at least being mediocre to being playoff caliber. They were in every game because they were well coached. They bought into the system. They believe what was they fought. Same thing with the Patriots now. Like, they're not the Patriots of old, but they're still in a lot of games primarily because of coaching, and they're being bought in, even if the quarterback position is holding them back.
Yeah.
But the Jets, they have enough to be competitive in their division. They have enough to even mess around and make it to an AFC championship game, like the Jaguars in 2017.
Right.
But you know what held that team back? Their quarterback.
Yep.
And he, meaning Zach Wilson, reminds me of that team, and this Jets team reminds me of them.
Right.
So far.
Right. Well, for me, Zach Wilson, even though he's had a bad season, what helps him is that, like I said, we never had expectations for the Jets to even be here. Right. Also, for the Jets to be where they're at, this is already considered a successful season. So even if they don't make the playoffs, even if they do make the playoffs and don't even win a game, people are like, you know what, Jets had a good season. So for me, yes, Zach Wilson, I think because I never had any expectations of Zach Wilson, he shouldn't have went that high in the draft. And I think the Jets are starting to realize we made a mistake because look at the quarterbacks you passed on. You could have had Trey Lance, even though Trey Lance haven't shown anything yet. You could have had Justin Fields. You could have had Matt Jones. You could have had Justin Herbert. It's so many quarterbacks that you could have had, but instead you chose to go with, Justin Herbert was I think Justin Herbert was in Tua Tagovailoa draft.
Right, he was. I
believe so. You could have had Matt Jones. You could have had Justin Fields. You could have had Trey Lance. You decided to go for this guy who came out of nowhere. Nobody was even talking about Zach Wilson until like the draft time, and then and that's one issue that I have with the NFL. A lot of times when you get to these drafts, a lot of times, especially when you have a black quarterback that's supposed to be the elite quarterback, they always try to make a case for why they're not, or why they shouldn't be why no team should take a chance on them. Look at Lamar Jackson. Won the Heisman, was supposed to be the number one in the draft, ended up going number 32 to the Ravens, right? You know, like for some reason, why was he pushed back so far?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Like, so for me, it was one of them things where it was like, well, I'd rather have Zach Wilson, who probably was, who got a lot of attention, like from his college at BYU. Like, out of all schools, it wasn't like he went to a top school and you're like, okay, well, he got to be good. Justin Fields went to Ohio State. Trey Lance, he went to South Dakota State, but everybody could see, based just on eye test, he was clearly better than Zach Wilson. So for me, I think the Jets are starting to realize we made a mistake in the draft, and now we've been holding ourselves back due to us having the wrong quarterback at that position. If you had Justin Fields, this team would be a better team. So for me, that's why I picked Kyler Murray, because I have so many expectations, and you have the talent around you. So why is this team not making a statement to be in the playoffs right now? I just don't understand it.
In the more weakened division. Fair enough.
Exactly. So yeah. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and get to this next topic. Hey man, we appreciate everybody supporting. Definitely hit us up in the comment box. Let us know you're in the building. Comment on these videos, because if you agree with us, if you disagree with us, let us know in the comment box and we'll shout you out.
Exactly. It's okay to let Jeremy know he's wrong. It's fine.
So the next topic, we got this topic right here. My guy, Cordarrelle Patterson. Is Cordarrelle Patterson the greatest returner of all time? As we all know, this past weekend, Cordarrelle broke the record for the most kick returns in NFL history. So, we here to argue. Is Cordarrelle Patterson the greatest returner of all time? What you think?
He's not. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I love what he did, and I love how he's been able to have a second career because he so far has looked most consistently like the best offensive player for the Falcons.
Yeah.
And when he's out of games, you can see the difference in that offense.
Yep.
But all that being said, when I think of return men, the first person I think of in terms of the GOAT, Devin Hester.
Mm-hmm.
He's my pick. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you could argue Josh Cribbs. You could even argue Cordarrelle Patterson. There's some other guys. But for me, the GOAT, Devin Hester.
Yeah.
What say you, my good sir?
Oh yeah, the GOAT is Devin Hester by far. For me as well. Even though I got as an Atlanta Falcon fan, I got to see I only got to see two of the greatest returners of all time, but we all know Deion Sanders was probably one of the best.
1, 2.
But however, he didn't really have a lot of kick returns. He had a lot of punt returns that was returned back. He had 9 overall, but 3 of them was kick returns. He played 13 years, had 2,199 punt return yards and 3,523 kick return yards. We know how explosive he was. On top of being a returner, he was also the greatest cornerback of all time. And then he would go and make a home run in the World Series for the Atlanta Braves, or so like he was an athlete. But at the same time, was he the greatest? I think he was the greatest for his time, but then Devin Hester comes along, and to me, he's the all-time greatest because when you look at his stats, 20 returns, 3,695 punt return yards, 7,333 kick return yards. Like I said, 20 returns, played 11 years in the league. And we all know what put him on the map was in his rookie season. They make it to the Super Bowl against the Indianapolis Colts. First kickoff of the game, return all the way. I think it was like 100+ yards. No, I don't even think he even got touched.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was a moment that I remember. And then I also remember when he broke the record when he took it from Deion Sanders. As an Atlanta Falcon fan, I was watching that one. He was able to high step in the end zone, so it made my day to see him break that record. And for me, I think Devin Hester really couldn't have had the best. He could have had a better career. I just think that we only looked at him as a returner, but I felt like because when he first came in the league, he was kind of a cornerback, and then he switched to like a receiver, but like more of like a slot receiver. He just never really panned out as far as playing in NFL other than return. And I think that's what's going to help him get into the Hall of Fame. I think he's up for a nomination this year, so we'll see how that go. But yes, by far, Devin Hester is the greatest. Cordarrelle Patterson, I'm happy that the Falcons have him on this team because, like you said, to me, he's the best player on our team right now. Started off last year and had a great season, and then towards the end, he started slowing down, and you was like, okay, is he gonna be able to keep this up all season? Is he getting old? Is age starting to catch up with him? And then he come back this season and be even better than he was last year for me. So I love Cordarrelle Patterson, but he's not the greatest returner of all time. He has 9 touchdowns, and all of those are kick returns. He has 7,811 kick return yards. It's a lot of yards. However, he only got 9 punt return yards. And he only returned punts twice and have fumbled. So I think he's not really good at punt return. He's good at kick return. And also, to make my point even further, I didn't even know Cordarrelle Patterson was up to break the record. I never really paid attention to him as a return specialist. Didn't really know he was an elite return specialist. I always kind of seen him as like a journeyman, like trying to find his way in the NFL. Been on different teams. The New England Patriots, I think they was the first to show that he can be a running back too.
Right.
But he came in with the Minnesota Vikings, drafted as a wide receiver, and just
Right.
never really panned out. And then, he got his resurgency with the Atlanta Falcons, and so far he's showing that he's the best player on his team. But I never knew that he was up for the return record. I never knew that. So for me, that already let me know that you're not the greatest of all time. Some other great returners of all time, Dante Hall.
Ooh, I was gonna
Dante Hall
say,
was a beast.
yeah,
Dante Hall was a beast.
and
Josh
yes,
Cribbs was a beast. I knew he was a return man. And
yeah,
Jacoby Jones.
yeah,
Man. We know that return that he did in the Super Bowl with the
yeah,
Ravens. So for me, yeah,
right.
I appreciate that the best returners came out was with the Atlanta Falcons when they did it. But at the same time, he's by far probably the worst of these ones that I have listed: Deion Sanders, Devin Hester, Dante Hall, Joshua Cribbs, and Jacoby Jones. He's not even comparing to them. He's not even better than them. So for me, no.
Another person I got to give love to. This is way back, a little more way back. Brian Mitchell.
The
Brian
Eagles.
Mitchell with the Eagles,
The
and he
Eagles.
spent a little bit of time with Washington, but yeah, he was another bad dude. Because I
Right.
remember growing up, and if you kicked it a certain way to Brian Mitchell,
Yep.
he was going to send it back to the crib.
It's another guy.
Yeah,
Deshaun
there's some other
Jackson.
one. Yep,
Deshaun
yep.
Jackson used to be a
Yeah,
returner.
D-Jack. I was just about to say that. Yeah,
I would say he
D-Jack.
was more of a punt returner, but
Yeah, he was
definitely.
definitely more of a punt returner. But the
Mm-hmm.
fact is, he he had some. If for those of you who don't remember, you can go on YouTube and just look at Deshaun Jackson punt return highlights and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He had one against the Giants that I'll never forget.
Mm.
It was I forgot the nickname for it, but yeah, it just and I would argue that it's a harder ask to be a punt returner than a kick
Mm-hmm.
returner. Primarily because of the way punts are set up, you're not always having as much space. And the way the formations are set up, guys are set up to block for you automatically. Whereas it really just depends on where the punt lies. Or, it really depends on where the punt lies a lot of the time.
Right.
And sometimes you'll get that punt in traffic and you have to weave in and out of defenders.
Yeah.
And your return team isn't set up to block for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that, you getting it in the mud. And
Right.
so saying all that to say, Devin Hester was so dangerous with the ball in his hands that he carved out such a career that he wasn't really known for anything else. Yes, he
Right.
technically his position was corner for a long time.
Yeah.
Nobody was checking for him as a corner.
Right.
And yes, he did have some snaps at wideout, and he even tried to convert to a wideout, but it never translated.
Never translated.
But the thing you knew that he was known for, and the thing you knew that you had to be careful with, was kicking that ball off to him for playing. And again, Dante Hall was a beast.
Yeah.
Before Devin Hester, he was my favorite return specialist because with him it was kicks and it was punts.
Right.
And he just looked like anytime he was getting that ball back that he could have taken it for 6 every time.
Correct.
I feel like with a guy like Cordarrelle Patterson, I love what has happened because I feel like he's gotten a career that Percy Harvin should have had. But I think he's just a product, and this is no discrediting him. He's just a product of figuring out his niche, reinventing himself, and having the longevity to break the record. And that's a credit to him keeping himself in shape and making himself adaptable. But to put him above a guy like Dante Hall or a guy like Devin Hester or even prime time, I can't do that. I can't.
Yeah, of course, man. Like you said, he's a great athlete, especially being that size, 6'4". 6'2", 230 some pounds.
Right.
I mean, so far he have found his niche, and that's playing running back, playing all over the field, but mainly running back for the Atlanta Falcons. But return specialist, and the thing about it, he's not even really our starting return man. It's actually Avery Williams. But then Cordarrelle Patterson comes in sometimes, and just so happened he had fumbled the drive before, and he was upset, and he just wanted the ball in his hands again, and it
Right.
happened on the kick return. So
Right.
for me, like I said, I didn't even know he was up for even that close
Yeah.
to breaking a record. I didn't even know he was even in the conversation, but he did break the record, but it was for kick returns. It wasn't
Right.
for a returner of all time because he don't have those stats. He is the
Right.
greatest kick returner. He has the most touchdowns. It's only 9. So I'm saying only 9 like it's nothing, but it's
Right.
9.
But no.
But
Right.
it's
Not like it's
that's a lot of
25.
kick returns.
Right. No, I
Correct.
get
Correct.
you.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so he's not the greatest, but I definitely thank him. It actually won us that game because if he didn't have that one, we would have lost that game against the who we played. I can't remember who we played.
Yeah, it was who was it? Because I don't remember either. Sheesh. That's all good, Chief.
That's crazy. I don't know who the Falcons
Who
played.
was it, man? It's too cold. Our brain buffering.
Chicago. Forgot
Yeah,
Chicago.
the Bears. Yeah.
Chicago. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get to this next topic. It's a good topic right here.
The best
Would the
of it.
Philadelphia Eagles remain the number one team in the NFC by the end of the season?
Oh, brother, you already know I'm gonna say yeah, but no. I believe that they will. Um, they so their schedule started to look like, oh, they're gonna run the table, and then they lost. But looking at their schedule, it is a pretty tough schedule, but I still expect for them to pull it out. Because I mean, yes, they have the Packers tomorrow. We'll see what happens, but they also have the Titans, the Giants, they have the Bears, they have the Cowboys again. They have, matter of fact, they have the Giants twice, and they have the Saints. So those are all technically winnable games, but there are quite a few trap games in there. Like those Giants games that Cowboys rematch, those are all trap games. Hell, even tomorrow night, that's a potential trap game. Ask what 12 did to Dallas when they went in and won that game. So there's still opportunities for them to potentially lose, but I still trust um the whole team because they went out and people were concerned about their run defense. They went out and got Linville Joseph. They went out and got Linville Joseph, and then they went and got Ndamukong Suh to help shore that up, so that when Jordan Davis comes, they can rotate that line out.
Yeah.
Their corners are still really strong. Defensively, they still have Hassan Reddick doing well and Barnett and all the well, I think Barnett is injured, but they still have a lot of these players who can make plays on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Jalen Hurts has not shown um, that this is a fluke. He's still playing well and he's still making sound decisions with the football. Is he lighting you up for 350 yards a game and 3 to 4 touchdowns? No, but I don't even think that's what they need from him, right? Because they also have a strong running offense. And so far, their coaching staff is putting them in the right positions. They're pushing the right buttons. This all seems to be enough for them to make it throughout the rest of the year. And then if you look at the other teams that are in contention for the number one NFC seed, like a Dallas, like the Vikings, they all have chinks in their armor, and it's been shown over the last several weeks. The Vikings were supposed to be more competitive than they were, and they got destroyed, utterly destroyed. Is it possible for them to lay another egg? Absolutely. And if they do, then they'll be what, 8-3 or 9-3? The
9-3.
Eagles just have to win at least 3, possibly 4 of these next 6 games, which is not outside of the stretch for me. And the way they've played the first half of the season, if they play even to that same capability, they'll mess around and run the table. So all of that to say, yes, I believe that the Eagles will remain the number one team in the NFC. What
Mm,
say you, good sir?
mm, 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 mm.
Go ahead.
What I'm hearing is I heard a lot of like uncertainty in your soliloquy. It didn't sound like you was confident in the Eagles, but I'm gonna be confident and tell you, like I've been telling you for the past few weeks,
Oh
the
boy.
Eagles will not be number one in the NFC by the end of the season. Let me tell you why. First of all, the Eagles have peaked too early. They peaked too early.
They
They
peaked.
haven't played nobody. First of all, they did play the Minnesota Vikings
Oh, all
before.
right.
Before they did play Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, all right.
However, they should have lost to the Indianapolis Colts. Should have lost to the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, Jalen Hurts get his little touchdown. I think it was like fourth down, and he was able to get through the middle untouched and got the little touchdown, whatever like that. They did win that game. However, they should have lost that game. And then also you're looking at the rest of the schedule. Green Bay, like you said, that could be a trap game. Yes, we know that Green Bay is not the team that they used to be, but this could be that game that they can show up. Excuse me. They got Tennessee next week. I mean the following week. Tennessee, the way they've been playing, yes, I do understand that they only really have Derrick Henry, but you never know what Tennessee Titans team is going to show up.
Exactly.
The Giants could be a trap game as well. The Giants aren't a
Exactly.
bad team. Yes, Daniel Jones is holding them back, but you have a decent defense. And if Saquon can just have a good game for the past few weeks, he really been kind of like going down, declining. But at the same time, it's been due to bad offensive lineman play. But that can also be a trap game. Chicago, I mean, I expect them to beat Chicago. They are better than Chicago, but Justin Fields is going to present a problem. Dallas, you got Dallas again, and the way Dallas played, for the past few weeks, they did steamroll against Minnesota, but they had a close game with the Giants this past Thursday. But the Dallas Cowboys, we know that they can only go as far as their defense can take them, and we know what type of defense they have, and they're gonna be licking their chops against the Philadelphia Eagles in Dallas because they want to get their get back. New Orleans, you should be able to beat New Orleans because I mean, I'm gonna be rooting for y'all to beat them too, and I just don't feel like New Orleans is they just not as talented as people thought, or people try to hype them up to be. And then you got the Giants again later on in that season. Hopefully, at that time, the Eagles been there solidified they position. But I'm pretty sure we know they're making the playoffs. It's just about seeding for them. Absolutely. Can you be the number one seed because you want to play all your games in the Lincoln Financial Stadium. So, but in my opinion, I feel like they may lose to Green Bay tomorrow, could lose to Tennessee, could lose one of those games to the Giants, could lose to Dallas, and then you'll probably beat the Giants the second time, New Orleans and Chicago. Those are the teams where I feel like they got the dub. But other than that, I feel like you could take some L's. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys got an easy schedule ahead of them. They got Indianapolis this week. Next week, they got Houston. They have Jacksonville. They got Philly again. They got Tennessee, and then they got Washington. Those are some games that they can win. Especially they can win 3 out of the 6. That will put them I think they're 7. I think they're 8-2 right now. So if they win the next 3, if they win their next 3 games, which I feel confident in saying they should, that'll put them at 11-2. And then if you ink out against Philly,
that put them at 11-3, sir.
11-3. You ink out against Philly. That could be a game that can determine who's gonna win the NFC East. Tennessee, of course, I think Dallas. That's going to be a good game. It's going to be a trap game for them. But then you end the season with Washington, which I feel like by that time Washington going to be dead in the waters. So they just going to be fighting for a draft position. So they'll be done. But then you go to my Super Bowl pick for the NFC, the Minnesota Vikings, who are only 9-2 right. No, they're 8-2 right now.
No, I believe you were correct the first time.
9-2.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think they are 9-2.
They're 9-2
Thursday. But next week they got the Jets. We'll see what the Jets look like this week. But next week they got the Jets. I believe they could beat the Jets. Then you got Detroit. It's going to be a division game, but I feel like they're going to beat Detroit. Indianapolis, that's another game that I feel like they should be able to win. The Giants, another game which I feel like they should be able to win because they can get to the quarterback. Then you do have a division rivalry with the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. That may be a game that they're going to have to really fight because it's going to be cold. But at the same time, it's also a winnable game. And then you end the season with Chicago, another division game. But by that time, Chicago should be fighting for a draft position. Minnesota Vikings may not even play their starters. they already in the number one seed because that's the team I got being in the number one seed. I got the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East, even though I hate to say it, and I got the Minnesota Vikings taking that number one seed. So for me, the Eagles will not remain number one. When it's all said and done, they peak too early. In the NFL, we all know it's about peaking at the right time. And when you peak too early, like the Arizona Cardinals, you end the season with all these expectations and then nothing to show for it. So for me, I think the Philadelphia Eagles will not end the regular season as the number one seed in the NFC.
It sounds good, man, but it's funny how I heard a lot of should, could, probably, might with the other teams that are possible contenders. And I will say, from what I've watched or looked at all of their schedules, out of the three, it seems like the Vikings probably by default have the easier schedule.
Yeah.
But I still believe that the Eagles have enough, because the thing that I look at all those other teams, which of those teams have the most weaknesses or the strongest weaknesses? And I would argue that out of those three teams, the Eagles have less weaknesses than the other teams. And yes, they're playing harder games potentially, but they're all winnable games. None of those teams like, ooh, man, because we beat Dallas earlier. Yes, we beat them with Cooper Rush, but it's not like Dak has been amazing. We've never really been scared of Dak as Eagles, as an organization or a franchise or as fans. So, man, is it possible that they can win? Of course it is, especially with the rivalry that happens between those two teams. But the Eagles have the better offensive line. They have the better talent overall at the skill positions offensively.
Even them,
one could argue that okay, Minnesota might have a slight edge offensively, might, but that's if you wanted to value Jalen Hurts and raise up whatever the name of their quarterback is.
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, yeah, 5 chains. So even if you are to do that, in terms of wideouts, okay, fine, they have a slight edge. But in terms of running backs, yes, Dalvin Cook is the better of those running backs. But the Eagles have a deeper they have a deeper roster of running backs. They're a more complete running team. Defensively, I mean, outside of the Cowboys, the Eagles have studs on defense. Yes, they don't have anybody that could compete or compare to a Micah Parsons, but very few teams in the league do. But if you look like man to man at all three levels of the defense, the Eagles are better suited to handle any offense relative to those other teams. Maybe the Cowboys might be the only exception to that. But if you take away Micah Parsons and let's say Trayvon Diggs has an off night, that could be enough defensively to knock them out of a game. We saw that happen earlier in the season when I forgot what team it was, but they figured out, okay, in order to beat the Cowboys, we have to find a way to neutralize Micah Parsons. So we're going to do a lot of quick reads. We're going to make sure that we get the ball out of our quarterback's hands. We're going to use their aggressiveness against them. The Eagles could do that. They could do that, and then it's a moot point. Or they have the offensive line talent to at least slow him down enough to make plays on offense. So I'm saying all this to say, yes, those other two teams are better suited to win, outright be the number one team in the NFC. But out of those three teams, I trust what the Eagles are going to put out on the field day in and day out relative to those other 2 or 3 contenders. So we'll see. But I'm saying that now they're going to be the number one seed. And even if they sit out the last game, they're still going to be the number one seed because I don't trust Kirk Cousins. I don't trust Dak Prescott. I don't trust Mike McCarthy as a coach.
But you trust Jalen Hurts?
Oh yeah, because he's given me enough
this season or
winning plays so far this season for me to trust him.
But the later you get into the season, That's when the real quarterback starts to
Yeah,
show.
right.
And I really,
And
for the past few weeks, Jalen Hurts kind of started looking like the old Jalen Hurts.
he's played solid, but it's not like he's. But the thing is, and see, that's the funny thing. You'll say that, fine. Let's say I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But out of all of those quarterbacks, who is the quarterback who is in the best position to still win games, even if they don't play up to their highest potential?
Kirk Cousins, because he has weapons.
Oh my God!
Only
All
thing
right,
Kirk Cousins
all
got to
right,
do is put the ball in Justin
all
Jefferson's hand.
right,
He gonna make
all
a
right,
play.
all right. But what happens when Justin Jefferson gets doubled like he was last week?
You got Adam Thielen. You have T.J. Hawkinson
That wasn't enough, though. They lost.
to the Dallas Cowboys,
Right.
who was getting to the quarterback. But when you can't get to the quarterback, the Eagles ain't really getting to the quarterback like that. They're stopping the run. They're making good plays as far as defensive back wise, but they're not just getting to the quarterback. Minnesota is getting to the quarterback. Dallas is getting to the quarterback. What happens when you put pressure on Jalen Hurts and he cannot get to, because you got to think he really has one big weapon in Philly, and that's AJ Brown. Let's say Trayvon Diggs is on AJ Brown and he's shutting him down, then where other than that, it's like Michael Parsons gonna have a field day to get to Jalen Hurts. So you're gonna have to rely on a lot of trick plays, a lot of read options to try to slow down Michael Parsons. And you gotta hope that you're able to do what you did in the first game, and as you know, use his aggressiveness against him. However, we know Michael Parsons is not gonna play the same way he did the first time y'all played him. It's gonna
Nah,
be a
he's
different
getting
game.
divorced. Yeah.
It's gonna be a different game. And then we know what Minnesota can do. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball, and they can play good defense.
So it's funny that you say the Eagles don't get to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
However, let's see. So far they're in the top 10 in sacks this year. So I mean,
Top
there's
10.
maybe
Who's top? Who's above them?
I'll give you that. So let's see. The Cowboys are above them. Let
Mm-hmm.
me see. Let's see. Oh, interesting. I undershot it. So it's just the Cowboys, and that's fair. And the Patriots. I don't know where the Patriots are getting these sacks from, but we're number 3. And here's some of the teams that we're ahead of. We're ahead
Mm-hmm.
of the 49ers. We're ahead of
Mm-hmm.
the
But
Jets.
we
We're ahead
also
of the
know
Chiefs.
what's his name? Nick Bosa was out for a couple weeks.
Doesn't matter. A win's a win. We're number 3 in
that
the league in
that
sacks.
shows sack man though.
I mean, but that's what
Are
I'm
you saying
saying.
wins
So
or are you saying sacks?
no, so I'm saying it jokingly, like a win is a win, but the win being my point made. You're saying that the Eagles don't get to the quarterback, but they're number 3 in the league, in the entire league in sacks as a team. And the
Mm-hmm.
only 2 teams that are ahead of them, one has, in my opinion, the defensive player of the year,
Right.
and the other one has the GOAT head coach, who is also a defensive minded coach.
Correct.
So they're getting to the quarterback. It may not
I,
be that they don't
let,
have a Von Miller, they don't have a Micah Parsons, but they getting sacks.
let me ask
This
you a
is
question.
a sack party in Philly.
For the past few weeks, have they been getting to the quarterback? That's the
No,
question.
fair
Because
enough. They have not.
in the beginning,
Mhm.
like I said, they haven't played anybody. So yeah, you can get to the quarterback when you ain't playing
Uh,
when you're not playing a good offensive juggernaut on the other side.
all
But
right.
can
All
they
right.
get to the quarterback consistently? When you look at these teams, they're gonna have to play. Green Bay, they could get
They're gonna
Aaron
get there
Rodgers,
now.
but
They're
we
gonna get
know
the
Aaron
A-Rod.
Rodgers gonna find a way. He's gonna do his thing. You could get the Ryan Tannehill, but he gonna be handing it off a lot to Derrick Henry, and Derrick
Right.
Henry he's not running up the middle. A lot of Derrick Henry
Right.
runs is to the outside zone, outside of the tackles.
Right. So
On the Giants, he gonna be handing off to Saquon mostly. Now Saquon has slowed down, but I think the Giants are basing their success off of defense more than their offense. And Saquon has shown that okay, early in the season I'm back, but so far he's been declining. But the Giants are still,
we'll find a
a
way to.
pretty good team. But like I
Right.
said, the Eagles should beat the Giants. Chicago, I mean, Justin Fields is going to be
They're
doing a lot
gonna
of
get
running.
him.
He's
He
going to be
gonna
doing
get
a lot of running. He's not really going
and
to
he
be
gonna be
sitting
cut.
still. He's not really going to be sitting still. So you may be able to get to Justin Fields.
Right.
Dak Prescott, like I said, the way Tony Pollard has been, contributing to that offense, it's gonna probably be a lot of dunking off to him and letting him make a play. You got CD Lamb, who's been so far showing his ability somewhat. And and Dallas is based on their defense mostly. It's not really their offense. And then New Orleans, you should be able to get to Andy Dalton, whoever back there, you should be able to get to them. But you still got Amari Kamara to worry about on that side. And then the Saints, they can dial up some pressures with Cam Jordan. But and then you end again with the Giants. So at the end of the day, like yes, the Philadelphia Eagles, they can get to quarterbacks, but at the same time, in the past few weeks, they really didn't get to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan really had control of that game until the end, and then it was pretty much over at that time. And then when Jalen Hurts got that touchdown at the end of the game, that's what solidified that game. But Indianapolis.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said the quarterback solidified the game.
So what happened
by making the right play at the right time. Right?
What happened was the play broke down, and then he didn't see anybody open. The middle was wide open. He just ran straight through.
So he made the right play at the right time to win a game, right?
I mean, it's like
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
If the middle is open, I can scramble. I'm gonna go and take the scramble. But can you do that when you have a team like the Dallas Cowboys who gonna come through there and ain't gonna have that wide open space? Can you do that against them?
We'll see in a couple of weeks. And we'll definitely see tomorrow.
So last question: will Minnesota lose to the Jets?
If you're asking me gut reaction, no.
That's all.
Only because I trust what Minnesota has on both sides relative to what the Jets have.
Okay, will Minnesota lose?
Yes, it could happen.
Will they lose to the Detroit Lions?
Yo, I like the Lions though, but no.
I like the Lions too.
I like them too, man. But listen, I wouldn't have said that the Lions was going to beat the Packers, and they beat the brakes off the Packers. The division game.
Everybody in that division gets up for the Packers. Because they have always been Aaron Rodgers talk smack like he their father. These are my sons.
I own you and all of that.
They get up, they get up for that game. No matter what, they gonna get up for that game. But the Lions in Detroit, Lions in Minnesota, it's not really like a big game. They just rivalries because they're in the same division, but it's not really a fair divisional game for the most for the most part. Minnesota has been running that
your body is even rejecting your argument with your Vikings, man.
Well, it's comfortable because why are we even having to make this argument? That's what it's telling me. Why are you even having to make this argument? We know that Minnesota is going to beat Detroit. We know Minnesota may beat the Indianapolis Colts. We know Minnesota can beat the Giants. We know Minnesota could sneak and get a win at Green Bay, and we know they can beat Chicago. So that's already. That's already some easy games to win. If you win all them games, and only lose one, you number one seed all day.
Still have the tiebreaker. Me and the Eagles. Let's say they both run the table and they have or let's say the Eagles lose another game and they both have the same record.
Yeah,
the Eagles will automatically have the tiebreaker because they took care of business when they needed to.
That's
earlier in the season.
That's a big if, because if the Eagles can beat Green Bay this weekend, if the Eagles can beat Tennessee next week, we know the Eagles could possibly beat. They got a better chance of beating the Giants. They got a better chance of beating Chicago. If they can beat Dallas in Dallas, they got a better chance of beating New Orleans, and they got a good chance of beating New York. So I really got them losing 3 games out of the next 6. So if they lose 3 games out of the next 6 and only win 3, but they will make them 12 and 6.
That make them 12-5.
12-5.
Matter of fact, that make them 12-4. Because
right now,
if they added on 3 more wins and added on 3 more losses, right?
They 12-4.
That would make them 12-4.
12-4. Minnesota has a better chance of winning out than the Philadelphia Eagles. Or Minnesota only really they trap game is Green Bay.
I'll give you that. They do have like I said, and you know what? I don't want to give off the impression that I'm disagreeing with you on that. Yes, they do have a easier path, a more
Yeah.
straightforward path.
Mhm.
However, my biggest concern is I don't trust Kirk Cousins. I don't, and history is on my side.
Mhm.
I also don't trust Dallas. I don't trust Mike McCarthy. History's on my side with that. I trust the
I,
product that
I
the
don't
Eagles
I don't
have both
understand how
sides of
you
the ball.
trust Jalen Hurts.
I trust Jalen Hurts because so far he has not given me. So here's the thing: he hasn't given me reason not to. Last year, even when they made it to the playoffs,
Mhm.
the reason they lost was because they faced a better team
Mhm.
who got hot like at the right time or played better than they did. They got outplayed by a better team. That happens in the playoffs. It wasn't because Jalen Hurts didn't play up to his capabilities. He did. They just met a team that was clearly better.
Mhm.
But I've seen those teams, those coaches, those quarterbacks play teams that they're supposed to beat and found a way to lose. Gave the game away. So far, since I've seen Jalen Hurts play in the NFL, more often than not, he plays up to his potential. He makes more often than not the right play, and they end up losing because they get beat, not because he makes the critical mistake at the critical time to lose a game. Because even with the game that they lost, they were in the game most of it. Give credit to the Commanders; they made the plays when they needed to.
Mhm.
But Heineke's not making all of those throws again. That's why he's a backup. That's why he's not the outright leader. That's why they've even thought about putting in Wentz. There's a reason he's a backup.
Mhm.
So I'm saying all that to say, until Jalen Hurts plays in a way where I have to be nervous about his level of play and his decision making, I'm gonna ride the hot hand. But 5 chains over there, he done stuck up the joint more often than not.
Who, Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
He only stuck up the joint twice, and that was against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, who
So
who
so we
who
just
ran
gonna
amok
ignore
on.
his entire Washington career. That's what
Oh,
we
you
doing.
talking about in his
I'm
career?
talking about historically speaking,
Oh, in his
his
career. Oh,
history
yeah,
as
yeah,
a starting quarterback for
yeah.
a playoff caliber team.
Right.
Have there been moments where he didn't come to play?
Yeah, of course, of course. But
That so my
what we're arguing about is, can they win the NFC? Not
right,
what he's
yeah.
going to do in the playoffs,
So
because
what I'm saying to you is, again, you're at the reason I'm bringing up all this. Your last question was, or your last statement was, do you trust, or why do you trust Jalen Hurts? I trust Jalen Hurts because his body of work has shown me he plays in a way where I can trust it, where I know what to expect from him. 5 chains, not first cousins. I don't know what to expect out of him. I don't.
okay, I had one out, so I didn't hear your
Like
question.
so 5 chains. I don't know what to expect out of Kirk Cousins. You might get a good Kirk Cousins game. You might get a terrible one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more likely you'll get a mediocre one. Mike McCarthy. I don't know what to make of his play calling. Dak Prescott. There have been games where it's like I just need you to make the one play. He can't do that.
Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts, if when the Eagles have lost, it isn't because Jalen Hurts' decision making or his playmaking ability or something he's done to put them in a position to lose. So until he shows me that his decision making is off or his playmaking ability is off or something like that, I'm gonna trust the product that I've seen over the past 1.5 to 2 seasons.
Well, you're a better man than me, man. You're a better man.
Oh, don't make him out like he Trevor Lawrence now. Don't do this. Don't do this.
You're a
Don't
better
make him
man
out
than
like
me.
he, Tua Tagovailoa, who now is playing a little better.
Yeah, I don't believe in Tua.
I don't either.
I don't
But
believe in
people
Tua.
making it seem like Hurts. Okay, he doesn't throw a whole lot of touchdowns, but
Mm-hmm.
he knows how to win and he knows what to do to play winning football.
Well,
Even though he ain't
we'll
played
see.
nobody, he ain't play nobody.
Yeah, nobody. Like I said, he
Nah,
did play
other
Minnesota,
than the
but
Vikings.
If he plays Minnesota now, they're not matching up. They're not matching up against these new Vikings. And the Dallas Cowboys is a different team now. Their running game is starting to come alive a little bit more, and the defense is the defense.
My Philly folks, if you're hearing this, we apologize for his slander. He's sick. It must be the cough medicine or whatever he's taking. Must be that. I apologize, y'all. Y'all deserve better than this.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get to this last segment. But before we do, man, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Go to YouTube right now, Fan of Atlanta 365, and sub up the channel. Like, share, comment on these videos if you got something to say, because we always going to comment back. Thank y'all for, like I said, joining us for another episode of No Huddle with Jeramy and Hassan. Next week, we won't do a show next weekend. However, we should be back that following weekend. So, just to kind of put, excuse me, just to kind of put it out there for y'all, there will not be a show next weekend, but we will resume hopefully that next following weekend. But before we get to the next topic, do you got anything for the people? Or you just ready to go ahead and move on?
Nah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
All right, so we're gonna get to probably the best segment, the lock pick, surprise pick, and game of the week picks. Last week, my boy, he did go 4-0 last week.
I never tired of being correct.
I forgot the games that we picked last week because there was some games I forgot the games.
So
I got the notebook here.
So I know that. Are you talking about the games of the week or our picks?
Oh, the games of the week was Dallas and Minnesota, and Minnesota got rolled over, and Kansas City and the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Who won that game? Kansas City?
Oh yeah, Kansas City won.
Oh, we both had Kansas City, and then Indianapolis lost by a hair to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then San Francisco played the Arizona Cardinals, and they did their thing against Kyler Murray. Kyler, sorry. So this week we're gonna go ahead and get to it, man. Hey, who you got for your lock pick?
Give me the Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Yep, give me the Dolphins.
Dolphins over who?
Dang, I forgot who they playing. That's why it ain't even matter. Oh, I'm sorry. Dolphins over Texans.
Dolphins over Texans. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, my lock pick is the Chargers over Arizona. Of course, Jalen. The Chargers get Keenan Allen back this week. Hopefully, he's able to contribute. They won't have Mike Williams, but I feel like they're going to be more talented than the Arizona Cardinals, and they should be able to ink out that win. Who you got for your surprise pick?
So for my surprise pick, I actually have the Bears beating the Jets.
Bears beating the Jets. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it should be.
Should be a good game, For me, my surprise pick, I actually got Cleveland over Tampa Bay. I got Tampa Bay losing that game. Hopefully, Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland got to do is try to get at least two dubs. Well, they need one dub before Deshaun Watson gets back next week. I think he comes back next week, December 4th. So if they could just get a win, Jacoby Brissett could just get a win against the Tampa Bay Bucks. It's going to be a hard game. It's going to definitely be a game. But at the same time, I feel like Nick Chubb should be able to run against his defense and, hopefully run them into a dub. So I got the Cleveland Browns over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm having a change of heart. I know I said give me the Bears. I don't like that pick.
Okay.
So I'm gonna really dig deep because you inspired me to dig deep.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with give me them Raiders over them Seahawks.
The Raiders over the Seahawks. Oh, okay.
There you go. Give me the Raiders over the Seahawks. Yeah, you choose violence. Yeah.
That's
that one
good.
was on the borderline for me.
That's a more manly pick because the other one was like choke. Okay, so as y'all know, we always pick the 2 game of the weeks picks. So the first one we have is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. Who you got, man?
Hey man, give me the Bengals. Give me the Bengals over the Titans.
So I actually I didn't even make this choice. I don't know why I never circled who I had. So I guess I'm going with the spur of the moment. I know Cincinnati would be without Joe Mixon, but they have a lot of weapons on that outside. Um, this one gonna be a hard one right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow, man. I like Joe Burrow. So I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to win this game. I feel like they got a lot of weaponry, and then they still got Perrine. That's gonna be the running back. And last
Right.
week he went off, so hopefully
Right.
he can go off again this week. So I got the Cincinnati Bengals as well. For the last game, we got the game of the week, which is my game of the week. We got the Atlanta Falcons at the Washington Commanders. Hey man, who you got?
Hey man, the Falcons gonna feast on the Commanders this week. That's what I
Yes,
got.
sir.
I
Yes,
like
sir.
it.
Well, you already. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say that. We already know who I got. We already know who I have.
Me.
Cordarrelle Patterson, Tyler Algier, Caleb Huntley, and
Yeah.
a little bit sprinkle a little bit of Marcus Mariota in there. We're gonna have to run the ball. We will be without Kyle Pitts for the rest of the season due to the MCL sprain. However, he got to get surgery. But I feel like that's a bit lost because he's really like a good diversion. He's really like he's gonna take on two people at least, so that they probably gonna add some more guys to the box and
Absolutely.
force Marcus Mariota to have to throw this ball. So hopefully Drake London and all them boys can be
Right.
ready this week. But
We-
when you have Cordarrelle Patterson, you got a chance at the running back position. No matter if they load the box up, you still got a chance. I think right now we really lead in the NFL in rushing, overall rushing. So or if we're not leading, we definitely top 3, top 5. So I look forward to still seeing us run the ball effectively, and we should be able to come out with the win. So I got Atlanta over Washington Commanders as well.
I like it. I like
Yes,
it.
sir. So, hey, it's been a great episode of No Huddle with my guy Hassan, man. Sorry about my voice today, the coughing. I got a cold. I'm trying to get over it. So Thanksgiving wasn't the best for me, but at the same time, I hope y'all enjoyed y'all Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy some turkey or whatever you ate. So yeah. So hope y'all enjoyed y'all holidays. Hope y'all, enjoy football Sunday tomorrow, and then be ready to go back to work on Monday, I guess. But hey man, you go ahead. You want to take us out because my voice ain't gonna allow that right now.
Oh, no, it's all good. Again, man, we appreciate you guys rocking with us every week. Shout out
Mm-hmm.
to my co-host for still making it do what it do. I know he's under the weather, but he's
Yes.
still committed to giving y'all that hot 16, even though he's wrong more than I am. But can't do it without you, brother, and I appreciate y'all. And for
Man,
everybody who's still enjoying the Thanksgiving holiday, Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday, and everything, please continue to be safe,
yeah,
especially tonight. People, some people celebrate differently.
yeah.
Be safe on the roads. Be safe where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we look forward to. Unfortunately, we won't be back next week, but the following week we do look forward to giving y'all some more heat with this no huddle thing. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. A little quiet on the participation front, which I was a little surprised at, but
Yeah.
we appreciate you guys for rocking with us every week, week in and week out.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's definitely a little quiet, but hey, we're gonna
Yeah,
keep rolling. You know what I'm saying? We don't do it for you. We don't do it for the people to watch us. We do it for us, man. We do it for us, and we're gonna continue to do that no matter if we don't have no participation or not. But hopefully next.
Oh man, the internet being the op. But yeah, hopefully next episode we'll definitely get more love, more participation and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm back now.
Yeah, we
Sorry,
back.
went out. But yeah, so we gonna roll on the following week. So hopefully y'all in the building. Y'all probably a little hungover, probably a little full from Thanksgiving. So we're gonna charge you to that. But yeah, definitely enjoy NFL football tomorrow. It's gonna be some good games, but I think you had a lot of good games on Thanksgiving. So that made the Thanksgiving day a little better. But yeah, so hey, we appreciate it. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Support the channel, share these videos, comment on these videos, like these videos, man. That's all we got for you. We'll see y'all the next in the next 2 weeks. We out of here.
Yeah.